Today again, guys, we are back into the mix because I got to pump out these videos as much as possible in the middle of my life. Um, I'm just trying to warm myself with some candles and some a heater, electric heater, for a moment while I'm in my office, and discuss a couple of issues because some of these things are very, very intriguing to me and very, very like I don't know. There is a myth of female happiness via work and getting that bag and getting that money. And, and we laugh, right? Because I remember seeing a video that went viral and became a song. What did you eat today? This woman had worked all day and was just like, she lost it. She had had enough. And I've seen other women come up on social media and have expressed their discontent with their living and working situation. The work life balance does not exist. And while I am not advocating in any way, shape, or form that the solution to this problem is get a husband, I will say that prioritizing your career is not going to give you the same amount of fulfillment as we expected it would, according to some of the backlash and vlogs that I've seen on various social media platforms. Let's take a look at some of them to see exactly what is being said. Now,
Possible new kinds of work, new forms of quit, new opportunities, rather than I need to feel something. Harry, can you tell me something that'll piss me off? That's better than Mondo. Yep, that'll do it. I see so many TikToks talking about how being an independent woman is so much better and it's amazing that you don't have to depend on anyone else. But I exist. I own my own house. I can pay my own bills. I work full time 5 days a week. I'm a full time single mum, and I think it's just a
I think that one of the major issues that I have with some of these videos is that, you know, um, we feel like we really, really need to be accomplishing something, right? There was a very interesting interview that I saw on, I think it was The Spillover or another platform, where one of these psychologists was talking about the different kinds of attachment.
Stronger and more resilient against cortisol and stress. So the more loved that you feel, the more connected you feel and bonded, then your brain also says, I don't have to feel scared and stressed all the time because somebody loves me. And if you don't get that in childhood, if it's inconsistent, you don't get it at all, you're in daycare way too early or way too long, and your primary caregivers, they shift because you're firing caregivers all the time. I've seen that plenty of times. Or you're competing with the other kids to get the care and the attention from that caregiver. You won't get much oxytocin at all in childhood. So your brain instead shifts to a survival mechanism.
Not work full time once they have kids. Some of them, I think, ignore that intuition. They ignore that inner voice. And then there's other women who they can't hear it. They can't hear that inner voice over this loud girl boss culture that tells them, ignore your guilt. That's just mom guilt. Ignore it, push through it. You'll forget about it. It'll get easier dropping your kid off at daycare the more that you do it. Talk about the study that said 65% of women ended up resenting their partner for not making enough money so that they could stay home with their kids.
Oh, it's so true. Forbes ran an article that said 84% of women want to stay home and that 65% are that miserable and resentful. Yes, women want to stay home, it turns out. Women want to stay home. I'll say this, the girl boss culture. It is built around avoidant attachment style. Girl boss is I am avoidantly attached. I don't trust anybody else. I will be controlling and manage other people, which is why girl boss women are meanest to other women.
Wait, this is
Girls have been taught that you are nothing until you have this career and this job and this bag. And there's a deep seated need for us to have fulfillment in other ways of there's a deeply seated need for us to have fulfillment in other more natural ways of being, like being a mom and wife, then we really need to be able to consider that if you're feeling unsatisfied or unfulfilled in your job, that there might be something ultimately wrong. Now, some of us are just going to have to do what we have. One of the hardest and most biggest decisions you will make in your life, finding a life partner, of course. And if you don't start to do that and cultivate that earlier in life, you won't have time to do that when you start to invest in your career. Now, this is very complicated for women because the myth of freedom to do whatever we want does not necessarily exist. And a lot of women from my generation and generations of past have realized that they have had to choose not if they have a career and children, but when they have their career in the relationship to wanting to have children, and maybe possibly realizing, honestly, just too late, that, oh, I actually wanted to have children. Now I got to hurry up and find one, or hurry up and get one. And the alternative for this is now be for us as women to tell women actually that our alternative is going to be to freeze our eggs. Do you actually know how many eggs you need to freeze in order for you to have one successful pregnancy? I think I heard somewhere that it was like 20.
Do you know how many eggs, on average, a woman should have on ice, on reserve, frozen, for a probability of one live birth?
No, I don't.
About 20. Then if I say, okay, how many egg retrievals are required to get about 20 eggs in a woman that's, say, 35 and up? The answer is at least 2. What's the cost average of an egg retrieval? Amy probably knows this, but he knows it's between $12,000 and $15,000.
And complications in pregnancy get higher the older you are. I can attest to that. I've had 2 children. Two of them are 12 years apart, and it was a very, very big difference that I talk about on my channel in terms of what the pregnancies were like um, when I was older versus when I was younger. And there's a lot of money that's being invested in making sure that women are still able to have children in their later years. But the real question is, should we? Should we really be doing this? Now, there are many, many complications involved in this process, in this conversation. And I think that it is a conversation that we need to really divulge into further more. So please leave a comment down below if you want us to continue along this lines, because there are a couple of people that I would like to invite to explain or even discuss with us what are some of the pros and cons of balancing relationship, career, and children. And I am only going to come from the perspective of having been raised by a single mother, the importance of having a father in a relationship, because when you decide to have a child as a woman, that is your most vulnerable time in your life. And if you want to have multiple children, it is always better for you to be able to do that in the context of a loving, healthy relationship, which is generally still always marriage. And that means that picking a partner is very, very much paramount to being able to make that decision. Thing is that a lot of women aren't actually really sure in the time that they are young enough and fit enough to have children. They aren't even sure if they want. And by the time they realize, yeah, okay, I think this is something I want to do, they're so far removed from the concept of motherhood and have become accustomed to a certain kind of lifestyle that in those later years of trying to have children with or without a partner, it's become completely nuanced and complex because of certain things that you've gotten used to that you just now have to adjust. And the adjustment process is very, very difficult for someone who is accustomed to living a certain way. These are the realities and the limitations of female freedom that we just don't seem to discuss. And liberal women tend to want to dismiss this away with prideful comments. And I use the word prideful because I don't honestly believe that a lot of these women believe some of the things that they say. Feel like they just say them because they don't really have a choice, and the ship has sailed for them, so they might as well just become content in their situation and preach this and encourage other women to live that way so that they can appease themselves and have more company in their own misery. I really honestly believe that for the most part, the majority of women want relationships, they want that marriage, but the fact that a lot of these relationships will fail is as a result of not really finding peace and really taking it seriously some of the issues that I've just listed above. So I want to make sure that you guys are engaged in this conversation. So please tell me what you think. Leave your comments down below, like and subscribe, share with your friends if you found this video helpful. If you are in a disagreement with if you disagree with anything that I've said and you want to share your disagreements with me, please do so down below. Just do it respectfully. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you in the next conversation. Bye.